Well, welcome back and hello again to all our radio entrepreneurs, watchers, and listeners. And we continue to stream stories of entrepreneurship leadership about how to deal with this economy. Over 7,000 interviews, over 1 million people have watched our stories, listened to our stories. And now we add this to our list. We add Paige Arnof-Fenn, founder and CEO of Mavens and Moguls. Wow. You know, I wouldn't mind being a Maven myself.
Why should you choose? You can be both.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't know about a mogul. I'd have to think twice about being a mogul. I'd rather be more discreet, but a maven, I don't know. But why don't you tell us about your mavens and moguls and what that means?
So mavens is a Yiddish word for experters. My great-grandmother would have said know-it-all. Mogul, according to Merriam-Webster, is someone of rank, power, or distinction in a particular area. So what I've tried to do is assemble a rock star group of marketing talent globally. And we come together and form teams based on what our clients need to help them tell their stories.
And what vehicles are you like? Are you digital advertising, all the above, public relations? Why don't you give us a sense of the tools that you're using to support your clients?
So we do basically anything a marketing department, ad agency, or PR agency does on an as needed outsourced basis. So today, everything is digital. If you're not doing digital, you kind of don't exist today. But yeah, we do market research, we do advertising, public relations, online marketing, SEO, SEM, you name it, anything under the marketing umbrella, we can help our clients tell better stories with the right words and pictures to get a compelling message to their audience.
And you said you were at Zipcar, but I'm just wondering, are there particular industries that you feel most comfortable addressing right now?
So I always say we're industry agnostic. My personal background, I came out of consumer marketing. I was in brand management at Procter & Gamble. That was my first chapter in my marketing career. And I was the assistant chief marketing officer at Coca-Cola back in the day. But then I headed up marketing at 3 technology venture-backed startups. So I've done both B2B and B2C. Our clients are all over the map, from consumer, technology, software, hardware, you name it. We also work with a lot of nonprofits. We work with early stage companies, pre-revenue, venture-backed startups, all the way to Fortune 500. The one area we haven't done a lot of work in, honestly, is medical device, pharma, biotech. That tends to be fairly incestuous. They like to hire people that come out of that world. I actually think we could be incredibly useful because I think there are a lot more best practices and similarities than differences, but they tend to be fairly incestuous. But other than that, we cross categories. I've worked in transportation, I've worked in, music, entertainment, cosmetics, paper, you name it. I think good marketing principles transfer across categories.
Well, you come from what I call the client side, and I come from the agency side originally in my career. And I love it that you mentioned P&G and both Coca-Cola. Would you say that there's a difference between how they sort of see or approach marketing in those two companies as a brand? I just find it interesting as a ex-brand guy. I don't know if you're ever an ex-brand guy, but
I was going to say it's in your DNA. You never,
exactly. But here you have 2 strong marketing orientation companies. Maybe I would think one's stronger than the other, but I'm just wondering, how, what you experienced because you were inside.
Absolutely. So P&G basically invented the concept of brand management, and they compete in, 1 million different categories, and every category they compete in, they are number 1 and usually also number 2 in that category. So, Bounty paper towels, Charmin toilet paper, Pantene shampoo, Crest toothpaste, you name it, Tide detergent, Pampers diapers, like every category, they are the top, or in the top, maybe 1, 2. So, they invented the system for how you market your brand. And having grown up in that system, I feel like I joke with people that I basically got like a PhD in marketing at Procter and Gamble. They have a system for everything: how to drop a coupon, how to do packaging copy, how to do media plans. I mean, they have a system for everything. And, you know, you can't argue with success. I would sometimes be a little frustrated saying to my boss, can we try this? Or have you considered that? And my boss would just shake his head and say, Paige, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. P&G has figured this out. Please just do what I'm telling you to do. And I think there were probably seeds of me being an entrepreneur back then, because I was always trying to bend, break, and change the rules. But it was an excellent foundation to learn the basics. Coca-Cola, again, Coke is probably the most recognized brand globally. And again, they kind of know what they know, and they do it really well. The thing that P&G and Coke do very consistently and similarly, they're two of the biggest advertisers in the world. So they are spending a lot of money every day, 365 days a year in every country where they operate. My clients don't have that luxury.
No, you're a guerrilla marketer, correct?
Well, at Zipcar, I became an incredibly good guerrilla marketer because we had literally no budget. So, you know, I've worked at both extremes, to be honest. But, you know, P&G and Coke, they can afford to run ads for the Super Bowl. They can afford to sponsor the Olympics. That's a luxury most businesses don't have. You know, our clients tend to be 2 million to 200 million in revenue, kind of mid-market, emerging market firms. As I said, a lot of them are pre-revenue venture-backed startups. So you have to be very scrappy, very resourceful, and very entrepreneurial to get as much bang for the buck out of that marketing budget.
So I have another question for you. Sorry, I keep directing it. You know,
no problem.
One of the most common stomping feet on the ground statements I get from people is, Jeffrey, B2B marketing is not like consumer brand marketing. Oh, you love it. Do you want to tackle that one?
So I've heard that a million times as well. So, you know, like I said, I started my career in consumer marketing, and I had heard the exact same thing. My first foray into B2B was the second startup I worked for, was strictly B2B. And people used to shake their head and say, Paige, you don't really get this because you've spent your entire career in consumer marketing. This is different. I will tell you, there are differences, but ultimately, marketing basics still apply. As I said, with pharmaceuticals, I mean, I feel like there are way more similarities than differences. You have to have, you know, a great story. You have to understand what your features are, what your benefits are, what your value proposition is, who your target audience is. There could be a primary, secondary, tertiary audience. What are your core messages? You can't stand for everything. You need to pick one or two things that you're going to really stand for. What are the support points? What's the data to back that up? That does not change whether you're talking B2B or B2C. So at the end of the day, I think good marketing principles apply no matter who the end user and end customer is. So I am very much a fan of, you know, do your homework, get your story straight, find the right words and pictures that are compelling to your audience, and drill it in every day, you know, in every single touch point. Be very consistent and constantly reinforce those messages. If you do that right, it doesn't matter if you're B2B or B2C, you will get your story out.
Well, and I would just add, when you're building confidence of a consumer, end user, or B2B purchaser, building confidence and brand awareness, or just confidence to get them to make a decision, that is a similar psychological process, regardless of the category.
Absolutely. So, and the other thing I would say is, whether you're B2B or B2C, every business is P2P. It's person to person. And ultimately, there's a person behind there making a decision, and you're building a relationship. So if you're not building a relationship, you're not doing very good marketing.
Well, everybody, if you can't tell, I like speaking with Paige Arnof-Fenn because she has grown up on a similar field, but on the other side of the tracks from where I got my original training. I was in the agency side, and a very famous agency is that. I mean, if you watch Mad Men, they probably talked about the agency I came out of more than any other. But Paige, if someone's looking for you and your expertise in this very, very fast changing world of marketing, digital marketing and economy, how would they find you?
So the best place is Mavens and Moguls website, mavensandmoguls.com, MAVENSANDMOGULS.com. Or you can find me on LinkedIn, Paige Arnof-Fenn. With a name like mine, it really is me. If you Google me, it'll come up. So I have a client that once said to me, with my hyphenated last name and the kind of alliteration of Mavens and Moguls, all she could remember was Paige and Mavens, and she Googled it and I popped right up. So I'm not that hard to find.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that you had reached out to me before we even met and showed your proactiveness. And we know we're going to have Paige back on Radio Entrepreneurs. So stay tuned for more stories from Paige Arnof-Fenn on Radio Entrepreneurs.
Thanks so much, Jeffrey. It's been a lot of fun.